Hey, Maui and Trizzy here, and we're traveling to one of 5 Nordic countries known as Finland. We'll be highlighting our time in the capital, Helsinki, in this video. Helsinki wasn't our final stop though. It was to Saariselkä in Lapland, a northern part of Finland. You can catch our episode about how the Northern Lights danced for us while we spent 6 nights there. But you can't get to Lapland without stopping in Helsinki. From the Los Angeles International Airport, we boarded British Airways, enjoyed a Finnish beverage, lingonberry juice, in flight, and had a 3-hour layover in London Heathrow Airport. When we arrived in Helsinki, it was already 11 p.m. Luckily, the trains were still running at this time, and we got to the Helsinki City Center train station in about 45 minutes on the P line. We conveniently stayed right next to the train station because Helsinki was just an overnight stop, which we did twice on this trip. The hotel we stayed at, and which we highly recommend, was literally outside of the train station. The Holiday Inn Helsinki City Center. We had paid $150 USD for the night. It had a small gym and our room was clean and comfortable, but the 2 tiny beds were just enough for 1 person each. Here's how our first less than 24 hours in Helsinki went. We started our next morning in Helsinki around 7 in the morning. It was still dark outside, but the city was slightly decorated with holiday lights since we went in early November. We had time to roam one major attraction before hopping on a plane to Lapland. From our hotel to the pier was a 15-minute walk, and we got to admire a short stroll through Esplanadi Park. A fun fact about Helsinki is that it's an archipelago. It has over 300 islands and one being a UNESCO World Heritage site, which is the main attraction we'll be visiting during our short time here. The place is called Suomenlinna, Castle of Finland, originally called Sibelius. So don't worry if you can't find the ferry going to Suomenlinna. They'll probably show the name Sibelius instead. And did we say ferry? Yes, we did. Suomenlinna is one of the world's largest sea fortresses. It's a quick but very chilly 15-minute ferry ride from Helsinki's South Harbor. The round-trip cost was about €6 when we went, but prices have increased to €8. One thing that's great about Finland is that it's a cashless economy. We paid for everything with our credit cards. You'll be sharing the ferry with locals going to and from work and school. And on this 15-minute ride, you'll see many islands with homes and other buildings. Some islands were so small, it would just be one home on there. There is no entrance fee to visit Suomenlinna, just the cost of the ferry. In total, we walked around this fortress for about 3 hours. Some would say 3 hours is enough, but we wish we had 1 more hour. It was a stunning historic site with lots of information to take in. This fortress initially belonged to Sweden, then Russia, and then in 1918, after Finland gained its independence from Russia, Suomenlinna was officially theirs. On this fortress, you'll come across old buildings, dry docks, cannons, bunker hills, and castle-like architecture, where you can walk through, but it's pretty dark and scary. For a gloomy day, it was very picturesque, and a surreal feeling to walk around here. This island is surrounded by the Baltic Sea, where we saw huge cruise ships passing. Along the edge of the fortress, there's amazing views of the sea, and you can walk up close to touch it and feel how cold the water is. We wondered how these ducks were able to stay so calm there. Be sure to time your return trip accordingly because the ferry comes only once an hour most of the year. As we returned to Helsinki, we spotted our first Finnish sauna, Allas Sea Pool. It consists of 5 saunas and 3 outdoor pools. 1 for lap swimming, 1 warm pool, and the other is an enclosed pool where the natural water of the Baltic Sea. We didn't visit this sauna. Instead, we visited another one called Löyly, which translates to vapor in Finnish. Keep watching to see how that went. When we got back to Helsinki, we walked around Market Square, which was right next to the harbor. People come here to shop and eat. You can try and buy reindeer jerky or eat a decent meal. There weren't many outdoor stalls at the time we went, but we strolled indoors at the old market hall and filled up for our walk to the Helsinki Cathedral in Senate Square. Battling the rain, wind, and cold, we made it to the steps of the Helsinki Cathedral in 10 minutes. One side of the cathedral is Senate Square, and around it are library, university, museum, and government offices. We walked back to the hotel to pick up our belongings to train it back to the Helsinki Airport and fly to the Eila Airport. We spent the next 6 nights in Saariselkä, Lapland. After a successful Arctic Circle trip, we spent another overnight back in Helsinki before we returned home to Los Angeles. Here's how our second overnight in Helsinki went. We arrived back in Helsinki in the mid-afternoon, so we had time for a meal after checking into our hotel, which was the same hotel we stayed at a week ago, the Holiday Inn Helsinki City Center. The rain was coming down, so we waited out a bit until it stopped. Dinner was at Friends Brgrs. We were craving for burgers after a week of eating somewhat of the same food during our time in Lapland. Burgers sound very basic, but we came across great reviews on TripAdvisor about this spot, so we were so ready to try it. We noticed there was no extra cost to make your burger gluten-free. Coming from America, we don't see that often, so it was a huge plus for us to see that. We devoured ours and agreed that it was a pretty good burger. The meat was extremely juicy but somehow didn't feel greasy or oily. The gluten-free bun was not dry, did not break, and had a tapioca-like texture to it. The veggies tasted fresh even for an evening meal. And to top it off, the rhubarb elderberry lemonade was a refreshing compliment. After digesting our delectable dinner, it was time for a Finnish sauna. To end the night, we went to the popular luxury spa, Löyly. This will be our third sauna of our entire Finland trip. We rode a tram 30 minutes from the city center to get here. The night was a windy one. Before entering the sauna, we watched a few people dip into the Baltic Sea with waves moving fast. We started to hesitate, but thought, when will we ever get a chance to come back to Helsinki to dip into the Baltic Sea? The time is now. So we marched into Löyly, paid our $25 per person for 2 hours, and made ourselves proud. The cost of admission comes with the locker, towel, shower facilities, and the public saunas. There are 2 saunas, a smoked one and a wood-burning one. The cold therapy would be direct access to the Baltic Sea, or to dump cold water on yourself from a tug of a wooden bucket. There is a large deck outside for loungers or sunbathers. We spent most of our time in the saunas because it was so windy. We, of course, dipped into the Baltic Sea, and to our surprise, it wasn't as cold as we imagined. Since Löyly is a popular sauna in Finland, prepare for it to be quite loud and busy. There's also a restaurant here. Reservations are highly recommended. Nonetheless, it was a fantastic experience and we generally love Finnish saunas. Let's continue on with the cute cafe we had breakfast at. Cafe Regatta. It's an outdoor cafe with a view of the Baltic Sea. The seating is covered by a huge tent. The aesthetic is a warm, tiny cottage by the water with a walk-up window to order their famous cinnamon bun and blueberry pie. We also got coffee and hot chocolate. There's a fire pit to grill sausages when it's not raining. We kept warm under the tent sipping our warm drinks. The sound of rain hitting the tent was peaceful as we looked out towards the sea. Although gloomy, it was a moment we'll never forget. We made our way to a nearby park, the Sibelius Park, where it houses the famous Sibelius monument made by Eila Hiltunen. This steel sculpture is made of over 600 pipes dedicated to a Finnish music composer, Sibelius. It's an immersive outdoor art where you can walk under it and hear the echoes of sound from around. A sculpture of Sibelius' face is next to the pipes. If you get excited about boba like we do, then you'll be happy to hear that there are 2 boba spots around the Helsinki city center. We ordered one from each place just to see how they tasted. Check out Zao Tea, which is next to Friends Brgrs, and Chi Tea, which is by the train station. Here's a few things we learned on this part of the trip. When traveling around Helsinki via train, you can buy a 24-hour to multi-day pass that'll also work with the ferry to Suomenlinna. These passes start at €9 and can range to €63 depending on how many days and which zones you're traveling. And for the saunas, if you go early in the morning, you'll encounter mostly locals, and if you go late in the night, it'll be mainly tourists. Well, that wraps up our 2-part video of Finland. If you haven't caught us chasing the northern lights in Lapland, we'll leave a link to the video in the description. Both Helsinki and Lapland were amazing memories for us, so we hope you find our experience helpful and inspiring. Thanks for watching Maui and Trizzy. Don't forget to subscribe and get notified for more of our past, present, and future adventures. Kiitos! Stepping on some sort of